This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Hope everyone are doing well. So today is our you can consider it as the first session, and as discussed yesterday, mostly I'll go with you can say manual testing topics. We'll discuss in detail about the what is manual testing, how we are actually performing the manual testing, and what are the strategies, testing techniques you can consider in you can say manual testing approaches. I know obviously some of you guys are already into QA, so you might feel like little bit theoretical, but yeah, before you can say moving on to you can say coding part, or let's say Java, it is mandatory to cover the like little bit about what is manual testing, how we are having the approach, what is coverage, and all those terminologies, whatever we have in like manual testing. So I'll quickly share my screen and quickly go through some of the you can say documentation, or I would say PDF, which is consisting of all the terminologies which is currently used in manual testing. At any point of time, if you feel like I need to have like again revise this, or let's say you didn't understood, please feel free to drop a message, or you can just you can unmute and speak up in between. So I'll quickly share my screen. Let me share the PDF as well. So this PDF is more or less you might have seen somewhere, or you might have heard all the terms as well. But yeah, like by going through the curriculum, or you can say whatever we are aware about, you just need to revise those topics so that everyone are on the you can say same page. So let me share the PDF. I hope everyone can see my screen. Yes, anybody can
Yes,
confirm?
yes, yes. We can see that.
Thanks. So see guys, I won't be keeping this conversation. I would say like I want this to be like one to one. I mean you should also speak up in case if I'm giving some, let's say wrong example, or let's say the example is not relevant. Please feel free to uh, interrupt me in between. Okay. So I would request everyone to be on mute if they are not speaking. Okay, so let's get started. So before that, just quickly revise. I know all must be familiar with this what is software. So certainly, whenever we come across with the manual testing, guys, please remember that we are having you can consider you will be working as web application tester, or let's say desktop application, any of the uh, you can say application. It can be of any form. It can be of mobile. It can be of let's say IPA file, APK file, anything. If I give you, you should be in a position to start the validation verification of that particular application. Okay. So coming to the question, what is software, right? Software is nothing but a kind of like which helps you to make your task in a better way, perform a task. So we have several types of software. I know there are various other types of software excluding this. So at high level, just to summarize, we have system software, programming, and application. So our pure focus right now will be into you can say the programming as well as application. Okay. So guys, when I say programming software, basically we will be considering Java as our PM, that is programming language. And when I say application, guys, please remember whatever app right now you are using. Okay, like in your day-to-day basis, right? Whether right now we are using GoToMeeting, right? So this is also a kind of you can say application which is actually hosted over the web service like www. So basically each and everything whatever you are using in your day-to-day life will be coming under application software, guys. Okay. So in your mobile, you can consider all the apps in your, let's say, day-to-day basis, whatever you are using, all those comes under application software. Okay. So our main purpose of, I would say, manual testing, or you can say functional testing, would be to validate, to verify all the functional scenarios which is specific to, you will say, the web application, guys. Okay, please understand this thing clearly. Whenever I say web application, all the URL, or all the you can say which is hosted on, you can say, browsers, those will be considered as a web application. Okay. So I would give some of the example which we are using in our day to day basis, such as IRCTC website, such as Book My Show, such as you can consider like other websites as well, like e-commerce websites such as Amazon, Flipkart, Snapdeal. All these particular applications are coming under web application, guys. Okay. So our aim will be to validate all the functional as well as security as well as performance scenario for those particular software. Okay. So our focus would be mostly on 90% would be on web application, guys. So right now we are not doing, you can say, training on, let's say, mobile testing, or I would say iOS or Android. We are purely focusing on web application. Okay. Not on desktop as well. We are purely focusing on web application, guys. Okay. Now what is software testing? Like, we have added a word called testing. Now the purpose of testing, obviously, to make sure that software testing is a part of, you must have heard about SDLC, the software development life cycle. Okay. Under this, we have one phase called as software testing. And the purpose of software testing is very simple, guys. Your role will be to identify defect, bug, issue. Whenever you are using the software, if you encounter with any of them, your job will be to highlight that and obviously report to the respective, like wherever we are, whichever you can say application we are using. So our aim will be to identify the defect. That's it. Okay. And the major reason of doing the software testing is, at the end you should be delivering a quality deliverable at the end of your release, at the end of cycle, at the end of the complete QA part. Okay. Once the testing is completed, the product which you are delivering should be of, obviously, having quality metrics. Okay. Now what are the different quality which we will be considering whenever we speak about quality, guys? We have various parameters.
Mhm.
Okay. So I would request, if someone is speaking, please be on mute. Software quality, guys, we have various parameters to be considered whenever we talk about quality, wherein we have, like, you can consider like bug free, which is delivered on time, within budget, meet the requirement, and maintainable. Okay. So these are the quality metrics which we usually consider whenever we are obviously considering any of the application which is hosted. Okay. So it's not only on the application side, guys, web application side, wherever you go, right? Whether it is like you can say IT or non IT, or in non IT also, when we say that this particular product is quality, like good quality, only when it is meeting our customer satisfaction, right? So all those parameter what we can think in terms of any other product, same thing applies in the software world also, right? So these are the major, you can say, reason. If all these are meeting up to date, everything is working as expected, then we can consider the particular software is of good quality. Okay. Ideally 100% bug free product is not possible, but yes, minimum I would say is 95% coverage, which is expected from the software tester. So that is what we consider this, but that particular software as is of good quality, wherein all the requirement what has been, you can say, promised, all those requirement has been met, and the product is obviously hosted on there, like they are able to use, the customer is able to use the same product. Now, what is the difference between product and project? You might have heard about this. Anybody wants to give an real-time example, guys? What is the difference, major difference between product and project? You can unmute and speak up. What you consider as product, what you consider as project? Yes, anybody? It's a, you can unmute and speak up, guys. Anybody wants to give some real-time example
Yeah,
of
yeah,
yeah, go
because
ahead.
product is a life cycle of development and market introduction,
Mm-hmm.
majorly in growth and maturity.
Okay. And
Yeah,
what about project?
project is a routine operation which has been given to the set of operations to design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
design the
Anybody?
application, platforms, good
Yes.
services.
Okay.
Project is a client-based one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about product?
Product is like front end, which the
Mm-hmm.
employee will do all the
Day-to-day
things.
basis. Uh, okay.
Yeah,
So one question.
Sorry,
One question.
one product is like, oh, sorry,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Please go ahead.
if I worked in banking domain, so particularly one application is developed for multiple banks or sector, like they can use it across the banking, all the banks. It's called a product. So, and
Okay.
if it is for particular thing we are developing, customizing, and something, it is called a project.
Yes. Perfect. Anyone else? Yeah. So please understand, guys, because most of us are having, you can say, obviously having thought process that, hey, I need to work in product-based company. Hey, I need to work in project-based company. Yeah. So whenever we select any organization, whether it is service-based industry or whether it is product-based industry, that's what we look into, right? So all the products right now which are available in the market. Okay. So when I say products, guys, please understand this. So you might have used the trading platforms such as Upstocks, Zerodha, then we have Share Khan. All these are actually a single product. Okay, and this all trading platform, you can say application. Okay, whether it is Android or iOS or let's say web version, are being used by multiple user. Okay, the product is one but it is being used by most of the people over the all over the world. Okay, so that particular organization would be considered as product based industry. Okay, you can consider like GoToMeeting also is a single product, guys. Okay, then Zoom is also single product. So whenever we have single product, the number of user for those particular product would be you can consider many. Okay, uh, and coming to project, guys, project will be specific to, you can say, a specific customer. Okay, let's say if you are developing something which is getting used only for that particular customer, then we would consider that particular module or that particular thing as project. Okay, so I believe you might have like obviously heard like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, L&T, all these are coming under, you can say, project based you can say organization. Why? Because they have specific requirement for specific client. Okay, so your project duration will be also of like long, like 6 month, 1 year, 2 years, depending upon how much changes all those the new development is applicable for that particular project. Okay, so ideally in both the case we will be having a lot of testing, guys. Okay, in product based organization also we will have the same things needs to be repeated. In project based, obviously your test cases will keep on changing depending upon the new requirement whatever you are getting from the respective client. Okay, so based on that, in both the organizations we will have the, you can say, same level of work. But in product base you will have obviously like you need to like go, or let's say move in the like logic of how the market is behaving. Okay, right now what is the market trend? So based on that, the product should have the same feature for that particular you can say domain. If it is not having, your product will be like you can say having you can say less marketing compared to the other who is following the trend. Okay, so that's you can say drawback of product base, wherein you need to go with the market right now, what is trending in the market. So based on that, your product should also have the same feature. If it is not having, then obviously there will be some little drop in terms of installation, or let's say downloads and other numbers, guys. Okay, so that's the major reason. And obviously it's good to be in both the organization, whether it is product project. In both case, we'll have the lot of testing efforts need to be done. And based on that, you will be having like respective deliverables, guys. Why do we need testing, guys? The simple reasons: we will have bug free product, we will meet the customer requirement, or you can say client requirement, and whatever requirement has been designed in the you can say various documentations which we have, like SRS or all those documentation. If the document those requirements should be met. And you please understand this: whenever we are you can say fixing the defect at the later phase, okay, that will be more expensive compared to fixing the issue like in the early stage. Okay, so please remember, finding issue early will be more helpful to developer as well as us as a QA, so that we will resolve that and obviously provide to the respective you can say module. Okay, so please remember, you identify the issue as soon as possible. Otherwise, if you identify at the end, or let's say in the like later stage of the product development or project development, we only will face the issue, guys. Okay, so please remember, fixing the bugs identified after release is more expensive. You have heard about this terminologies, I'm sure, because for us as a QA, please remember, guys, everything will be considered as issue only. I mean, you might have heard that, hey, I got an error, I got a bug, I got a failure. Okay, but for us, each and every in this all three scenario, we will raise a ticket. Okay, in all three scenario, whether it is error, whether it is defect, or whether it is failure. But at high level, for developer to understand the criticality of those particular ticket which you have raised, you need to have some bifurcation, whether it is error due to human like whatever you action you have performed, due to that it is an error. Or second is like kind of defect, the functional issue, guys. Okay, the expected behavior is not matching the actual behavior. Okay, so you might have obviously the expected behavior and actual behavior, right, in your test cases. So if it is not matching, like you can raise the defect with respective priority and severity that we are going to discuss. So you will raise the defect. Okay, and the last one is like failure, guys. Okay, so failure is nothing but like whatever deviation you have identified. So you are expecting, let's say, the status code 200. Okay, and you have got like, let's say, 201. Okay, but the expected status code was 200, and you are like you are getting the status code as 201. Okay, so obviously you will raise one defect straight away, because the expected and the actual is not matching, guys. Okay, and with respect to defect, guys, obviously whatever flow you have, whatever flow or test cases you are following, okay, if you stuck at any point of time, let's say you are expecting let's say home page after login, and let's say it is redirecting directly to the footer section of any e-commerce website, or any web page, obviously you can raise the issue. Okay, so because the expected behavior is like it should load the header of particular home page, but right now it is loading, let's say, footer of any particular home page, right? So the expected behavior and the actual behavior is not matching. So in this all three scenario, we will raise respective issues in whichever tool we are using, whether it is Jira, whether it is Azure, whichever tool, we will raise straight away the issue in the respective boards, guys. Okay, why the software has normally bugs? See guys, you must be like right now, those who are into this thing right now, currently working, right? Most of the people have, you can say, we are communicating on daily basis. If you are not putting your relevant comment into your respective task which you are doing, right, you are keeping that particular comment, or you can say whatever you have observed, you are keeping that only in your like mind, that I have observed this issue during this particular flow, right? You are keeping that particular thing in your mind, you are not updating the comment, or like you are not updating to respective member. Okay, so during this process, okay, the whatever observation you might have like made, right, that might be missing guys, and due to which there is something called as miscommunication, or you can say no communication. There will be a gap between the QA as well as dev team. Okay, due to which the developer will obviously think in his priority, in his way, and he will keep on developing the things in his direction, guys. Okay, he will obviously not come to you and ask, hey, whether you have tested or not, all those things. Okay, so please remember guys, communication is very very important. Okay, whether it is with developer, whether it is with client, whether it is with any of the other stakeholder whom with you are working. Okay, please remember, communication is a key, wherein you will have at least 80 to 90% of the development done in correct sequence or correct order. Okay, if you don't communicate, there will be a lot of issues you will be facing when you are testing that particular module for the first time. Okay, second is software complexity, guys. Like there is a term called knowledge transfer, guys. Okay, that is nothing but KT. In knowledge transfer, you like whenever we try to explain you any application, right? So sometime it happens that that particular product is very complex to understand. Okay, so in that scenario guys, I would request you to please perform that particular you can say hands-on exposure on that particular application multiple times. Okay, if you perform that multiple times, and please ask more and more question to the one who has explained you. The reason I'm saying is like, unless and until you don't know all the terminologies which is actually present in that particular application, whatever let's say flows are present in that application, unless and until you don't ask, you will not have the clear understanding about that particular module. Okay, so the reason for that is like you will have better visibility in terms of writing the test cases, in terms of executing the test cases, and also in terms of like explaining that to the end customer or end client. Okay, so these are the main reason why you should keep on asking the question to the respective like whoever is trying to explain you. Okay, so please remember, software complexity is very very important. Next is programming error. That is obviously a headache of developer, whoever is right like creating a code, whether it is in Java, JavaScript, anything, right? Then we have something called as changing requirement. So we will discuss about agile, guys. Okay, what is agile, what is scrum, what is kanban. Okay, so right now we are talking about changing requirements, guys. So what is changing requirement? So you have developed something, and at the end of demo or like during demo, there will be something which will be coming into client's mind. Hey, we need to update this, we need to change this, we need to change the font color, or we need to have this particular button over here. So all those discussions happens during the respective, you can say, demos, and there will be change in the requirement, and during that particular phase the developer need to rework on the module which might have worked previously, guys. Okay, so please remember, this is also one of the reason of having bugs in the software. Okay, last one is lack of skilled tester. Okay, as a QA, please remember you should be expertise into all the domains. Whichever domain, if I give you any application, you should have at least basic insight of that particular domain, and you should be able to work with that particular module, guys. Okay, whichever application. whether it is e-commerce, whether it is banking, whether it is any PFSI, anything. Okay, you should be able to pick up that and start investigating. Okay, on your own. So on that basis, you will obviously find more and more issues, more and more defect. I'll take a pause, guys. Anybody has any doubts, questions so far? Anybody wants to speak anything? You can unmute and speak up, guys. Okay, I'll consider it as no. Moving on. So, like, I'll give you quick overview about SDLC, guys. I hope everybody are aware about this, but just at high level, I'll try to summarize what is SDLC. It starts with requirement analysis, design, development, testing, and maintenance. Okay, please remember, guys, our you can say role will be more or less into the fourth phase of this particular cycle, that is testing. Okay, but it is not like if I'm saying that we will be working directly in fourth stage, it doesn't mean that we will not have the idea about all the about three phases, guys. Okay, please understand, your task or your activity, QA activity, starts with the requirement phase itself, guys. Okay, so when I say requirement phase, guys, please understand, you need to have deep knowledge about whatever right now requirement discussion is happening, because you will have more understanding on the like writing of test cases. Because if you have more clarity on requirement, the more number of test case you will write. Okay, if you don't have the clarity on requirement, obviously you will face difficulties, guys. Okay, while writing the scenarios, while writing the you can say test cases, traceability matrix, during all those things you will face issues, guys. So I would request, you need to obviously have clarity on requirement analysis as well. After that, we have the design, guys. You should be going through all the mock flows, all the use case diagram, all the wireframes, all the blueprint, whichever is available over the Confluence, or like whichever documentation is present, you should be whether it is available over the drive or Google Drive, wherever it is, guys. Okay, you should be go keep on like checking those images and everything, so that you have better visibility on what all field will be there on the web page, what all field will be there on mobile app, all those things, right? Will have better clarity in terms of navigations. After this screen, this will get load. After this screen, this will get load. So the you will have better visibility, clarity on the design part. Okay, uh after that we have the development, guys. Okay, so development is more or less a developer's job, guys. Okay, wherein he needs to understand the, so he might have already understood the requirement, he might have understood the design as well. So now the role of the developer obviously is to make sure that whatever he has understood, obviously put that into respective HTML or whichever like technology they are using, and present us the respective UI, guys. Okay, it can be backend development as well as front end development. Okay, so guys, when I say backend, it is mostly comprises of API, that is application programming interface. When I say front end, it is mostly comprises of UI. Okay, so after this three you can say mode, or you can say this three event, the main like as a QA, as a manual tester, or as a automation tester, your role starts with the testing, guys. Okay, so next we will check about STLC, which is nothing but we are trying to have little bit more insight on what is testing. So there will be one cycle called as software testing life cycle, which we are going to have a detailed discussion. What is software testing lifecycle, what all activity we will be doing in that. Okay, and once the testing is completed, guys, we will be moving to next phase, that is maintenance. Okay, so maintenance is nothing but I would say kind of providing customer support to the product which is already available in the market. So that is nothing but coming under maintenance, guys. Okay, it include all the activities. Okay, with respect to DevOps part, with respect to security testing, all those things will be also considered. Okay, so let me little bit emphasize on testing, guys. Under testing we will have few things to be covered, wherein there will be something like documentation part, there will be a test planning part, there will be test execution part, there will be reporting part, like logging defect, okay, providing the defect report at the end of the testing each cycle. Okay, so those things will be included at high level into your testing phase, okay, which is the fourth phase right now you can see under SDLC. Okay, now we will discuss little bit about the different models which are available, guys. So we will quickly go through, because I hope everybody are aware that right now currently most of the project, okay, 90% of the project in uh, like uh, in IT right now is purely focused on agile methodology. Okay, so when I say agile, guys, please, I'll discuss this later. Okay, what is agile and all those things. But right now we'll just go with the models which were followed previously, and you need to understand what were the disadvantage uh, due to which people, or let's say the industry, has moved to agile. Okay, so I would say 80% is completely followed like agile, okay, right now, and 20% you can consider other models which are currently getting followed in IT. Okay, so this is like a purely waterfall model, guys, which has like 6 phases. Okay, so these are the phases, the same phase, but we are going step by steps. The only disadvantage is like here the requirement are fixed, guys. You cannot change the requirement. Okay, once the requirement analysis of any requirement is done, if you are coming to this particular phase and you say that, hey, I need to update this, no, there is no way to update. That's the disadvantage of waterfall model. Then we have something called as you can start testing only after implementation is done, guys. Okay, that's the second disadvantage, wherein you cannot start testing unless and until this particular phase is completed. Okay, so these are the few you can say consider disadvantage of waterfall model. Okay, uh, due to which we have several other models which are being followed, if like let's say agile methodology, spiral model, V model. Okay, so you can see this advantage. There's advantage is like if the project is of short duration, obviously we should go with the waterfall model. If it is of long duration, obviously we cannot go with you can say waterfall model, because the requirement changes are not allowed. We, if there is a defect in requirement phase, it will continue, guys, because I told you, right, you are not allowed to change it. So total investment is more, because time for rework or defect is time consuming, because as I told you, right, we are having the testing after you complete all the 3 phases which are present. Okay, only then you can start the testing. The last disadvantage is testing will only start after the coding part. Okay, unless and until coding is not done, we cannot start with the testing. What are the advantage, guys? Advantage is like the chances of bugs are less. The reason of that is because the requirement changes are not allowed in this model. Okay, investment is less because tester are usually hired at the later phase, guys. Okay, and please remember, this is, I already mentioned that this is only preferred for small project, let's say 6 month, 9 month kind of project. It is not followed for a project which is more than 1 year, guys. Okay, and the product quality will be good because you already are finalized, everything is finalized at the start only, there is no change. So that's the reason these are the major advantage of waterfall model. Okay, next is spiral model. Spiral model is more or less like kind of prototype. You can consider it's a multiple waterfall, I would say. Okay, so because each cycle is considered as a completely waterfall model, wherein we have continuous this thing activity ongoing. Okay, so each circle will represent one cycle. After that, one more cycle. So I hope everybody are using like most of the application from, let's say, App Store and this thing Play Store, right? So we get an update, right? So update is with respect to, let's say, version got updated 1.2, 1.3, something like that. So application remain as it is, just some features has been added. That is nothing but spiral model, guys. Okay, in spiral model the application remain as it is. Okay, only few changes with respect to functionality or applications get added, guys. Okay, let's say you are using a net banking of ICICI bank. Okay, like mobile pay, and now let's say they have added one more functionality of fingerprint, this thing. So if you update your app, that particular functionality will get added, guys. Okay, there will be no change in anything, right? In like how the UI was looking previously, so everything is same. Only thing is fingerprint sensor has been added to your mobile app. Okay, so that is nothing but a spiral model, guys. Okay, it's an iterative model. In each cycle a new software will be released to customer. You can consider basically multiple versions, right, will be delivered to the end user. So if someone wants to check, hey, what was there in version 1.8, they can download the respective version, check what was there, and what is current version, let's say 3.5. So they can download the current version and try to check what is actually present. Okay, so that is the advantage of a spiral model, guys. In each cycle we are doing multiple times the same testing. Okay, so this you can consider the advantage. Like testing is done in each and every cycle before navigating to the next cycle. Okay, customer will get use of software for every module, and the requirement changes are allowed after each every cycle before going to the next cycle, guys. Okay, now the disadvantage is like obviously requirement changes are not allowed, some similar to what we have waterfall. And in each spiral you can consider like kind of waterfall only. Okay, and one more thing, please remember, guys, we are not doing testing in requirement and design phase. Okay, for the spiral model as well. Okay, and the last model which we have is V model. Okay, wherein you might have heard about verification and validation. So common definition is the product right, is the right product kind of. Wherein we verification and validation, please understand, very like it's very straightforward, guys. On the left hand side you can see that we have BRS, SRS, HLD, LLD. So if you notice carefully, verification is purely focusing on what part, guys? Documentation part. Okay, and validation is purely focusing on what? It is purely focusing on testing part, guys. Okay, so you will have clear understanding. Like whenever I give you any of the documentation, whether it is, let's say, a test plan, whether it is BRS, business requirement specification, high level design, low level design, or let's say any of the software requirement specification. So if you are following those all process, it means you are following the verification part. Okay, if you are following all those process. But when it comes to testing, okay, now I have navigated to one URL, I entered the username, password, I clicked on login. If you are doing the that functional testing, so that comes under validation, guys. Okay, so if you notice carefully, the terminologies in purple color, we have four types of testing which is showing up here, which is user acceptance testing, system testing, integration testing, and unit testing. So guys, please understand, we start from like kind of bottom, wherein we start with the unit testing, and slowly and gradually we'll move towards like UAT, okay, which is user acceptance testing. Okay, there is something which is written called as white box testing techniques and black box testing techniques, guys. Okay, so we will discuss about this, what is white box, what is black box, later on. Okay, but as of now you can just consider two testing, that is like unit testing and integration testing is coming under white box, and whereas system and UAT is coming under black box testing. Okay, and if you notice on the left hand side, all the documentation part, we will have the mandatory review part, guys. If you are not doing review, the documentation will be of no use, because if I create a document, whoever is working, obviously like a senior manager or whoever is there, like he will try to review that document, what all things has been present in that document, right? So review is mandatory, guys. Okay, unless and until we are not getting review comment, you need to check whether everything is accurate or not. okay, for the respective module, respective section for which you are actually doing the unit testing or integration testing or system testing or UAT. Okay, so please understand V model, verification and validation. We will just discuss few things about V models, guys. In this, if you notice carefully, the documentation is more, guys. Okay, because you saw that we are having a lot of documentation on the verification side. Okay, and the advantage here is like we will have the testing to be involved in each and every phase, guys. Okay, we will have the testing in each and every like we will start from unit till UAT, guys. Okay, now let's talk about little bit about the definition. So you might have seen this definition most of the time. Verification is like kind of right product, and validation, are we building the product right? Okay, so verification typically involves three major things like review, walkthrough, inspection, and validation is actually kind of doing the testing, guys. You are taking the app, you are taking the web apps, you are taking the mobile apps, and actually started working on that, right? So that is nothing but validation. Okay, and verification mostly focuses on the documentation part. Okay, and please remember, guys, first which will happen, verification will happen. Once the verification is completed, then only you can start with the validation part. Otherwise you cannot start with the you can say validation. Okay, please understand, verification is first. Once verification is completed, then we can jump to respective validation, okay, of the respective module. Now we have few techniques, guys, testing techniques which we might have seen or might have heard about. Just wanted to summarize like little bit about static testing, dynamic testing. Static is nothing but in kind of you can review, walkthrough, inspection. So whenever we view any of the code, okay, whenever we view any of the test cases, test plan which has been created by let's say your juniors, right? So you try to provide your review comment. Okay, so that is nothing but a kind of static testing. Similar goes for the web apps, right? If you are testing something, you review that particular application and you provide your update or feedback respect to that particular applications. Dynamic is nothing but you try to provide the input and check what is the output. Okay, so if I say a particular text box is only accepting number, now what will happen if you provide special character? What will happen if you provide let's say alphabet? Okay, so those kind of observation you do, and that particular type of testing comes under dynamic testing, guys. We have few techniques which we discuss, right? Review, walkthrough, inspections. Let's discuss a little bit in detail about this techniques. What is review? What is walkthrough? What is inspection? Review can be of any like any documentation, guys. It can be of let's say code review. It can be of let's say design, plan, test cases review, anything, guys. Okay, let's say you created one doc, okay, which is in PDF. Now our job is to obviously share with the respective like QA lead or anyone, and they will provide the review comment, guys. Okay, so wherein they try to check whether obviously 100% is accurate as per the module or not. Okay, so those all things comes under review part. Walkthrough is a kind of informal, guys. Please remember, whenever let's say if you are trying to have the coding let's say you are writing a script, okay, automation script which is completely in Java, and you have done some mistakes with respect to syntax or let's say creating a method or something, right? So over there, if some senior comes and try to, hey, you need to write this particular method in this way, you need to have this method in the above section or something like that, right? So those kind of discussions which comes into this thing, those kind of discussion is coming under walkthrough, guys. Okay, it is not pre-planned, guys. Please understand, it can happen anytime. There is no formal communication with that. Like it can be over the call, it can be over the screen sharing, it can be over like one to one as well. Okay, and there is no MOM, guys. There is no minutes of meeting for that particular discussion. Okay, so next we have like inspection, guys, which is a kind of formal activity which happens most of the time. So inspection, you obviously try to check whether we have few moderator as well as few you can say reader writer, right? So those are the person who try to check what all strategies, what all methodologies you are following. Okay, and they are trying to provide you the like what would be the advantage if you follow this. Okay, so there will be MOM for that, guys, and there will they provide detailed explanation how you should go with the current market standardization. All those things will be discussed, guys. So inspection in it is properly scheduled, and people will intimate via emails, and respective like developer and tester needs to be present in that particular call or particular discussion, guys. Okay, because they will be purely focusing on process and project improvement. Okay, that's the major reason of like that's the major reason I would say for the inspection part. It is a formal review, and there will be a detail you can say MOM for that particular discussions, and you need to follow that. If you don't follow, the next inspection will get affected. Okay, so please understand, inspection is mandatory for process improvement. What is the difference between QA and QC, quality assurance and quality control, guys? Quality assurance, you can see it is more or less related to process. Quality control is kind of actually you are doing a testing, guys. Okay, quality assurance focuses on like building a quality and QC. So are we working under QC or are we working under QA? Anybody?
QA.
What
We
is
are working QA, quality
what about
assurance.
others?
QA.
So anyone else? QA or QC, guys? Try to understand the difference. What is the
QA.
difference between?
QA.
If you are saying QA, why QA?
Because so we are involved in verification and plus validation.
So quality assurance is a kind of what? It is a kind of prevention, guys. Okay, and quality control is what? Quality control is a kind of detection. Please understand this, guys. Okay, so whenever we are actually working as a QA, okay, tester, right, or let's say automation tester, our job would be more or less detecting the issue, guys. Okay, I know that we are following both. Actually, ideally the answer is both. Okay, but our 70 to 60 to 70 percentage you can say our weightage or this would be more towards QC, guys. Okay, because if I give you any application, your job will be not to make sure that you have followed the process or not, you have followed the strategies or not. No, our job is not to do that. Our job is, if I give you a URL, if I give you a particular environment, okay, our job is to find as much as issue you can, right, whether it is manual, whether it is automation. Okay, so 60 to 70% weightage would be to quality control, and 30 to 40% I would say kind of quality assurance. Okay, so what we do under quality assurance, guys, please understand, quality assurance, we try to make sure whatever document we have created are correct, whatever strategies we have followed are correct, whatever processes which are mentioned, those we are following. Okay, and it is being followed entire STLC. Okay, it's not like we have followed in one domain or one distinct module. It should be followed for the entire life cycle. Okay, so my like my this thing would be more towards QC, because the more issue you find, more your like weightage, or let's say you will have functional understanding of the respective module, respective project on which you are working. So my focus, or let's say my this thing would be more towards QC compared to QA, guys. Okay, so please understand, we will be mostly inclined working towards QC, because our role will be, if you find 10 issues, and obviously all those 10 issues are relevant issues, you will be like obviously more than you can say, you will be responsible for making sure that those issues are fixed in the next release or something, right? Quality assurance is more or less towards preventing the defect. Okay, so whether strategies are followed or not, those comes under prevention. Okay, okay, moving to the I would say the last section which we will be talking about, and then we will talk about the next this thing next uh, session afterwards about the respective like whatever we have. So testing methodologies, guys. Can anybody explain like little bit what is white box, black box, gray box at high level, please? Anybody wants to try? I know you might have heard, obviously, like most of the time, right? Uh, but it's very straightforward. But I want you to try one more time. Like if you are, let's say, if I ask you what is gray box, then what would be your answer?
It's a
Anybody?
combination of both white and black.
Okay, so what type of testing we do in gray box, guys?
We do unit testing and functional testing.
Any example of gray box, guys?
Gray box is between
It's
both
a code
like
level testing, right?
both white
So
and black.
Perfect. It's a combination of white and black. So will it require functional knowledge? I mean, coding knowledge?
Yes.
Yeah, little bit.
Little bit. Perfect. So yeah, that's perfect, guys. Please understand white box. What about white box, guys?
In this,
The
sir, we
testers,
know about a little bit of coding knowledge.
Not
the
little bit,
tester has
actually.
some idea of internals of
Hmm.
application.
Right,
It's
right.
And
done
he
by the
tests
developer.
all the logics within that application, like a code testing there.
Hmm. So,
It's
guys,
like a
please.
unit testing is done by white box testers, and
Mm-hmm.
the functional test will be done by black box testers, and the
Mm-hmm.
gray box is like between these two.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So if I give you, let's say, a kind of URL, okay, right now, okay. So let me give you one straight away URL, okay. So tell me like what you will be able to do, whether you will be able to do white box or black box. Okay, so let's say if I am giving you one URL straight away, so I hope everybody must be aware about this URL. Okay, so this is the URL I am right now suggesting you all. So what type of testing you can do on this page,
This is
on this?
black box test.
Black
Okay,
box.
Black
black
box
box.
test.
Okay. Now my second question, if I ask you, hey, you can just check the API response and request from here. Like let's say I know, I mean, let's say if I'm running this and there are some API calls, guys. Okay, and now here I'm trying to check the API. Okay, and now we need to validate whether the APIs are showing the correct response or not. Okay, so in that
That is
case, what do
also
you?
black box.
So that is also black box. Okay, so please understand, guys, whenever we are not having any idea about the code part, okay, when I say code part, basically you don't know what conditions, what logic, what looping statement has been used, so that will come under you can consider as black box, unless and until you don't have knowledge on the coding part, okay, what has been coded somewhere. So that type of testing will be coming under black box. So black box tester will not have much knowledge on the code. Okay, when I say code, it can be Java, it can be .NET, it can be JavaScript, anything, guys. Whereas white box tester will have little bit knowledge on the functional like kind of coding part. Okay, so he can understand what condition has been written, why it has been written, if we try to have that whether the condition will pass or condition will get fail. So those kind of understanding white box tester will have. Okay, and coming to gray box, guys, you might have heard about database testing. So database testing comes under, you can consider as gray box, because in that we need to write the SQL, you can say statement. Those SQL statement will generate some output, guys, right? So you can consider database testing under the gray box because it's a combination of both white box as well as black box. Now coming to simple like unit testing and integration testing comes under white box, guys. Okay, please understand, very straightforward. You are able to see what is written inside. I mean, application code is visible to the user. Okay, So that's the reason it is called as white box testing. Okay, because they have the knowledge of internal code, internal logic. Okay, so we will have input, obviously there will be output. Next is black box. He or like whoever is doing black box, they are not aware anything about what is system all about. Okay, so they will have less knowledge on the coding part. So ideally they will be mostly system testing, and UAT will come under black box testing, guys. Okay, and the last one is like combination of both, that is gray and black, sorry, white and black will be coming to gray box. And we have like one this thing example with respect to gray box, that is database testing. Okay, so database testing mostly is coming under gray box testing. So these are the you can say high level. We have four levels, guys. Please understand. We have unit testing, integration testing, and system testing, and user acceptance testing, guys. Okay. So these are the four levels, out of which you can consider the about two under white box testing, and the remaining two under black box testing, guys. Okay. Database testing is a part of, you can say, end-to-end testing only, which is coming under gray box testing, guys. Okay, so please understand, guys, there are a lot of testing types in terms of definition. So don't get confused whether this will be done under integration. So it depends upon which type of like project or domain you are working on, and respective. Let's say if I ask, hey, where is regression testing is? So it depends upon what kind of domain you are working, and based on that, respective testing will be covered, guys. Okay, so I'll take a pause here, guys. I'll stop here. Remaining will continue tomorrow. Okay, from here, like level of software testing. So we'll continue our session from this particular slide. Meanwhile, let us go through Q&A. Anybody has any doubts, any questions, anything you want to highlight, ask, please feel free to unmute and speak up, guys. Okay, I think everyone has understood, or they don't want to speak.
It's clear, Vikash, whatever you have said.
Okay, so I think it was, I would say it was little bit, I know that it is little bit theoretical, but uh, the thing is, it is mandatory if we are focusing on, you would say, like automation, guys. Please understand this. Unless and until if we don't have theoretical knowledge related to manual testing, because I told you, right, once we jump to you can say coding part, that is Java, right? During that time, obviously we will be having real time, you can say we will be doing all the practice and activity over the Eclipse editor. Okay, so right now I am sure that like it is a little bit theory, but I want you to be clear on the theoretical part as well. And then obviously, like when we move to Java part, like let's say coding part, core Java, as well as like we will have like practical oriented session, guys. Okay,